Here we are again with a Visit Julian Blog Talk Radio interview. And it's our second organization, and that is the Volcan Mountain Foundation. And today we have with us Eric Jones, who is the Executive Director and President.
That's right.
Of the Volcan Mountain Foundation. Thanks so much for coming in, Eric. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Robin.
Yeah,
Glad to be
so
here.
tell us a little bit about the message that we want to get to our listeners.
Yeah, so the foundation is chartered with preserving the Volcan Mountain Range, which goes from Julian to Warner Springs. But let me start with a little story.
Sure.
Let's say you and I go on a walk around San Diego County. Eventually, we're going to find a rock that's 180 million years old. That's the oldest object here in the county.
Wow.
And from 180 million years to about 2 million years, the Earth did its thing. Plate tectonics. The Earth shifted around. It got hot. It got cold. It lifted. It rose. It sunk. About 2 million years ago, the top of Volcan Mountain and Santa Isabel at Don's Market were at the same elevation, exactly the same level. And then there was a giant cataclysmic event, and Volcan Mountain got lifted up to 14,000 feet, they're as high as the Sierra Range.
Wow.
Huge uplift. And since that time, in 2 million years, it's been eroding away and coming down to it's about 5,000 feet where it is right now. About 100,000 years ago, we would recognize the landscape. There'd be meadows, there'd be pine forests, there'd be ungulates walking around, the deer would be walking around. And about 10,000 years ago, humans showed up. The Native Americans were here. They come here seasonally to collect acorns. They had village sites here during the summer. 300 years ago, we had the first Europeans show up. 150 years ago, as you know, gold was discovered.
Right.
So Julian went from 0 to about 600 Europeans within a couple months. Population of the entire county was about 5,000 at that same time. So imagine from 150 years ago, county population went from 5,000 to 3.3 million today.
Oh my goodness.
And the temperature has gone up 3.5 degrees. There's less rainfall. So this place is changing fundamentally all the time. The question I ask myself is, you and I are about the same age. What do we want to be doing over the next 30 years we have productive, or 30 productive years? So I want to make sure we have books in the hands of kids. I want to make sure we have a good fall season next year for the businesses. But I also want to look forward to the next 150 years and think about this area and how we want to protect it and keep it as essentially rural as it is today for the next 150 years. I can't affect the next 100,000 years or the next 2 million years.
Sure, but the 150?
But I can do something about the next 150, and that's what the foundation is all about.
That's fantastic. I think the Volcan Mountain Foundation and you being a part of it have really been a central part of this community. Everyone who lives here knows about the Volcan Mountain Foundation. They know about Volcan Mountain, and then they may come to learn about the foundation, which preserves it and does all the work that you guys do and your mission and things like that. For us here at Visit Julian, we have had the benefit of the hiking. When people come into town hall looking for hikes, it's always the first hike that we talk about because it's very popular. I keep as a bookmark on my laptop here the virtual tour, the virtual hike of Volcan Mountain, so that people know what they're in for. And most people get excited. They'll stand right here at my desk and watch that video. So the hiking, the activities that are around Volcan Mountain are something that are great for the community and visitors alike. You want to talk a little bit about the hiking opportunities?
Yeah, sure. So, recreation is a part of the human connection to nature.
Sure.
If we don't experience something firsthand, we can't love it. So, although it doesn't lead in our mission statement, it's something we recognize that has value. So, yes, the trails from both the state and the county are easily accessed from Julian area. On the Volcan Mountain itself, there's the fantastic hike up to the summit on the main trail. It's about 5.5 miles round trip. It's moderate to rugged. It's a steep uphill. But when you get up there, the payoff is fantastic. You have views for 150 miles, both the east and the west on a clear day. You can see into Arizona. You can see off the shore to Santa Catalina.
Wow.
It's a fantastic place to visit.
Because I'm dealing with my own physical limitations right now, I haven't made it up there. And I often wonder when I'm showing the video to folks, it shows the one view of the greenery and such, and then basically pans over to the other view of the desert. How far are those two views from each other?
Point to point, you're looking at 300 miles.
No, no, no. I mean,
when
you're standing up there to be able to see it.
It's a ridge line that gives you view from one place. You can literally see both directions.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had to walk. You know, I mean, obviously you have to walk somewhat, but and they have those nice information podiums up there so that you know what you're looking at.
Yeah, those are about a quarter mile apart from each other, but the views are every place. You know, it just happens that that's one place you could stand.
Right, and those are on the video, so that's why I was asking. So it was just something that that sparked curiosity in me. And one of the things you said struck me, which is unless you experience something, it's hard to love it. So I know that you guys have a nature center up more in the Volcan Mountain area, and then also the nature center down in Santa Isabel. But you are really engaging with the public, and I'd love for you to talk about that, because I love to share wild crafting classes that are coming up. I bought wild crafting classes as gift certificates for people I love, so they can go and make those cool things that you guys do.
Yeah. So the mission is land preservation, but to do that you have to have, number one, political will, and political will comes from public support.
Sure.
And education. So part of what we do is outreach in the form of, I lead a hike every month. Each month I have a hike with the executive director, and I take one of the local trails and I take people out, and I generally get 10 to 20 people from all over San Diego County who come up for that. Some locals, but mostly people who are coming in just for the experience. We participate in outreach table like most nonprofits do.
Sure.
So we'll go and community events will be there. We have started about 4 years ago. We started Julian Natural Wonder Fest in partnership with a lot of organizations, including the Chamber here. Dark Sky Network was part of that. We're bringing that back again this August. So that's a big one-day event that brings in 1,000 to 1,500 people from across San Diego County. And
a lot of exhibitors for those people that come to enjoy, for sure.
That's right. Yeah, the event's designed to showcase nonprofits who have an environmental message. And what was eye-opening for me the first time we did this was how broad the view is of the environment. So we tend to have a very narrow focus of just the Volcan Mountain area and just land preservation, although we recognize all the environmental values. These 40 different organizations that came brought perspectives on, they care about foxes, they care about the native wolves, they care about rain, just whatever it is.
And reptiles. There were reptiles at
absolutely.
the Wonderfest,
But you mentioned the education program. So in addition to this generic outreach, we have an outdoor education program that we staff, and we bring about 600 kids a year up to our nature center to experience nature firsthand. It's a number that we hope to triple over the next couple of years. But this is, for many kids, the first time that they have been in nature that's not the soccer field.
Right.
To them, the grass in the soccer field is nature. But this is coming to a place that's essentially wild. It has a stream flowing through it. That is the Santa Isabel Creek, which becomes the San Diego River, which exits the Pacific Ocean. We can talk about the watershed. We can talk about the cycles of nature and this forest that they're in and the ferns that are so unusual in San Diego County because of this riparian area. It's a fantastic program, and something that we invest in because it's important not only individually for the kids who participate, but for growing environmental voters. These kids will grow up to understand that there's a special place that they need to actively protect, or it'll go away.
Yeah, even if you can't see it every day, that picture will be in their mind, and they know where it is, and they know how important it is.
It's a formative experience, we think, and so that's why we do that. We also have wildcrafting classes for adults and a nature education series where we try to do something once or twice a month where we bring people to the mountain and share some of its special nature. So in the nature education series, we have specialists who come in. Next month, Jeff Linser, who is a raptor specialist, is going to give a class. People are going to come on the mountain. He's going to talk about it. That we're going to walk and hopefully see some raptors. We don't do animatronics, so we'll have to rely on them to fly by. And other classes throughout the year on different subjects. Wildcrafting is something that started with an organization with Kathleen Beck a number of years ago, and it's continued on today with Janice Smith. And this is a class that sort of celebrates a craft-oriented and a practical-oriented connection to nature. So some of the classes are foraging. How do you find food in the wild? If you were forced to, how would you do that? And how would you make soap out of ingredients that you would find on a walk? Some of these things are just a way for us to connect more closely to nature.
Sure. And I also think that not to set aside the entertainment quality of those types of activities, because through fun becomes things that get put into the back of your mind. Like, you remember what a great time you had, then you remember the natural things and maybe how you acquired the things to get the soap making, for example.
Right.
So it's all connected, and you may not even realize how much you're learning because you're having such a good time while you're learning. Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
I think that's really cool. Do you want to talk a little bit about, because I think it's a hidden gem, the Nature Center in Santa Isabel?
So that's actually not owned by us.
I know, but you're a smarty pants, so I just thought I'm going to tap into that knowledge.
Right. So the county park system here is fantastic. It's well funded, it's well managed, and the new San Isabel Nature Center is a great example of that. That's opened up about 2 years ago now. It's open every day of the year, I think, except Christmas. And when you stop by, what you're going to experience is a beautiful building that's architected. Is that a word? Architected.
Let's make it a word. Today it's a word.
To fit into the landscape. It's tucked into a mature grove of Engelmann oak. You can't see it very well from the road, but when you drive up to it, you're exposed to it. When you get inside, there is a large room with interpretive materials that describe the natural state of this area, and there's also meeting space. But the interpretive area is where you can get a sense of the broad scale, the scope of what nature is here, from all of its aspects. And then from the center itself, you can go on a number of hikes.
Yeah, I've seen you. Well, I've been to one at the beginning. You lead a hike from that.
I do.
From
It's on my rotation of about 7 or 8 hikes that I do throughout the year.
Yeah, and that was a well-attended hike that morning that we came. There were a lot of people, and they were all wearing masks. So it was during. Maybe that's why.
It was the height of COVID, right?
Yeah. It was during COVID. So I imagine getting out into nature right now is a perfect time to do that, because more and more people want to be not bumping elbows with others.
We're seeing more people on the trail,
absolutely, for sure. So talk a little bit about how people might be able to support the Volcan Mountain Foundation.
So we are a nonprofit that's funded entirely by individual donations plus some small grants that we pursue. You can join us as a supporter, just like most organizations, for $35 a year as an individual, $70 as a couple. We will have you listed as a supporter. We'll be communicating with you, telling you happenings on the mountain. Before COVID, and hopefully very soon, we have special events just for supporters. We also have a group of about 100 couples who have the means and the interest in what we do to be sustaining friends of Volcan Mountain, and they give us $1,000 a year. It is something that if you have the money, we appreciate you voting with your dollars.
Sure.
With that money, we fund all the programs that you hear about and that help promote preservation on the mountain. We also do direct land preservation. We have an acquisition reserve fund that we've built up over the years. When a property is available to purchase, so our charter is only to pursue land that's being sold by willing sellers.
Yes, I saw that on the website. Willing sellers.
Willing sellers, that's the catchphrase. So we're never going to support the government taking property from anybody. That's not what we do. But when a property is available, we are the first point of contact, because we've been doing this for 35 years in this area. We know all the property owners, we know all the property, and we also have partnerships with all of these land managers, federal, state government agencies that are set up to be perpetual managers. We are a land trust. We have a small amount of property we own, but it's not our mission to own the mountain. That's not what we do. What we do is partner with organizations like the county, who's able to open up a park for people to recreate on, like the state on the San Felipe side of the mountain, who has about 15,000 acres that they operate as a wilderness preserve, but also as a place where hunters would go. So it's not about exclusion; it's about preservation.
Sure.
Keeping the the activities that are going on the mountain today. So that's when we bring money in, that's what we use it for.
That's awesome. Am I mistaken? And please correct me if I am. Obviously, is it, in the last 5 years, didn't you acquire some more property?
Yeah. So for the first, the organization was founded in 1988 by a group of people who were looking at a development that was planned for the hillside overlooking Julian.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, you know what, is there a better use for that land than putting up a handful of homes?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to be permanently alter that landscape.
Sure.
So I may remember the question when I get to it, but I'll go back to it. But so these people started this organization in 1988. For the first 20 years, it was just a partnering organization.
Mm-hmm.
We would be a facilitator to bring together willing sellers with government agencies who are going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
About 15 years ago now, some property became available on Volcan Mountain, about 400 acres,
mm-hmm.
that the board at the time decided we would be a perfect platform for this education program
mm-hmm.
we talked about, plus as a laboratory, bring scientists in to do research,
mm-hmm.
demonstrate best practices in wildfire management,
mm-hmm.
in fuel mitigation, demonstrate to the whole community how we should do things in this place.
Mm-hmm. So
that was the mission, that was the idea behind acquiring that 400 acres a number of years ago. We felt at the time, we still feel today, that that's in the ballpark of how much we can manage as a small organization. This whole range is, I don't think I mentioned yet, 52,000 acres is what we think about when we think about the Volcan range.
And of that, you own only 400 acres?
Only 400 acres directly as land manager.
And that's where the nature center is.
That's
off
right.
That's off Farmer.
It is in the Farmer Road, about 3 miles from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the basic footprint we have on the mountain. We feel like if there's an opportunity for us to take on additional property, if it makes sense to us, we will.
Uh-huh.
But that's not the best use of our time and money. The best use of our time and money is to be very focused on understanding this area and helping sellers connect up with buyers.
That's great. And so when you connect them with buyers, obviously you're connecting them with those who have the mission to preserve the land as
Right.
well. But is it contractual, or is it a handshake, or like what is it that seals the deal for your support that would make the purchase go through?
So patchwork's a good word to keep in mind when you think about the mountain. There's already a patchwork of ownership between small inholdings, larger ranches, and governmental agencies. And there's also a patchwork of mission for people who own those properties. Fish and Wildlife, we talked about, has a mission of hunting and preservation. It's a dual mission.
Sure.
County Parks and Recreation is a dual mission of preservation and recreation. So, and that's for us is perfectly acceptable. Even the most hardcore environmentalists who are part of our stakeholders will agree that you can't just put a fence around a place and lock it up. That's not sustainable. Yeah, you may have animals that will thrive in that environment, but politically it's not sustainable. We need public land to be available for the public. At the same time, not all public land. It's very important that some land, because of its environmental characteristics, because of its value, has to be very, very strongly.
From ourselves. We have to protect it from ourselves.
There's absolute value in that for everyone.
Sure.
It's not like that land now is fallow. That land now is valuable to us because it preserves the forests that are there. It preserves the apex predators like the mountain lions who have to travel through that area. It preserves the water quality that's a source of 60% of the population of San Diego County live in water that has its beginnings up on Volcan Mountain. That's why that patchwork is important, and that's why it's important for some land to be preserved more strongly than others.
Yeah, and I hope this is in line with what you're talking about when you're talking about the apex predator, because I'm one of those people, when I see developments going up, the first words out of my mouth is, where are all the lizards going to go?
Okay.
Because I'm a lizard person. So you hear so many people complain about the coyotes, complain about the mountain lions, because they're encroaching on their house, and know how to get that message to people is, no, we encroached on their house. This is so I want people to see that those are core areas that are super important, because like you said, it will keep the mountain lions where the mountain lions belong, as opposed to in your backyard eating your chickens or what have you. Am I right?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, so if you have a healthy network of travel corridors, the animals prefer that. Mountain lions, as an example, don't want to be around people.
Exactly.
They want to kind of live their lives and hunt their deer and do their thing.
Yeah.
It's only when the highways come in and they're blocked from where they need to go that's the issue.
Yeah.
But we are in balance with nature all the time, and we make compromises, and nature makes compromises without knowing it.
Right. Sure.
And we're not suggesting that the answer is to remove the population of Julian completely. We're saying, hey, let's just make sure, if we look forward 150 years, what do we want that to look like? If the population of San Diego County is, rather than 3.5 million, let's say it's 6.5 million in 150 years, what does that mean for the pressure, the population pressure up here? If the water table is at X feet today, what if it's X minus 50 feet in 150 years? What does that mean?
Right.
So part of the story of that next 150 years is making sure that this special place has protections.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so I ask this same question at the end of each interview as we wind up.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you came to this interview wanting to cover that we didn't get to that you want people to know?
Well, so much, but
I know, right?
So let me just tick off the other. We talked about some of the programs of the foundation. It's the land preservation program, it's the education program, the outreach program. Within outreach, we have the Rubinson Endowment, which is an art and science fund. What we do each year is we put an application process out there. We say, if you're a scientist or an artist who wants to come and be a part-time resident on the mountain and be inspired by it and produce work from that inspiration, we will give you a stipend to do it. This is our 7th year doing that.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so there's this year there's 2 artists who are going to be coming up in springtime, spending a week on the mountain, producing work, and we take that work. First we exhibit it in Julian, and then we take it around the county for 3 months in different public spaces and say, there's this place you may not know about that's just 60 miles from here, and it's a special place, and here is the beauty that it's inspired.
As seen by, or
that's right.
Yeah.
So our founders were artists, as well as scientists. So that's reflected in this program. So we also actively bring scientists onto the mountain to do basic research. These are people who have a deep specialty in a certain area. They're bug experts or bird experts, and they'll come in and they'll do their research, they'll document their research, and we feed that into the academic systems, the scientific systems that know what to do with it. We feel that's an important part of our role.
Sure. Yeah. Also, coming up next month in the way of supporting Volcan Mountain Foundation is a silent auction.
Yeah, so in March for 35 years, we've had a dinner dance, and we have a big auction, including auction items that are sourced not just from Julian area businesses, but from around the world. We have a display. We're going to have a display in Town Hall, so you can come in and bid on those auction items. Plus, we're doing that online, so you can bid on those items online as well. We are currently planning to have our dinner dance, our 33rd
Oh, good!
dinner
I'm so
dance
glad to hear that.
at Camp Stevens at the end of March. And that's always a fun event to bring our community together. This is not just about land, this is about people. And so this organization, I think, do a very good job of building a community and bringing people together who have a shared interest in preserving this place. So please feel free to join us.
That sounds awesome. And for those of you listening that are frequent visitors of the Daffodil Show, the silent auction display will be going on in Town Hall at the same time as the Daffodil Show. So you can come upstairs, view all the amazing daffodils and that great display, and then head downstairs to check out how you can support Volcan Mountain Foundation.
Come say hi.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Eric. I totally appreciate this.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Great fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.